What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of VP Customs. Time has come to finally talk about my 1980 K5 Blazer. I've owned the Blazer since 2015. It's been a complete work in progress. I love everything about it. Let me show you around a little bit. So as it sits now, I said it's a 1980. Sitting on a 4-inch full suspension lift from Rough Country. 35-inch tires. They are some kind of cheap tire. It's the Federal Kogoria mud terrain. Sitting on a 15 by 10. I could eventually get one spacer, bring it out a little bit. GMs always track a little farther out in the front. The body on the truck is completely original, and believe me, it's far from perfect. I am actually the second owner of this. I bought it from a donation place. It was after the previous owner passed away. It was donated to by the family because they didn't want to deal with it. Originally, it wouldn't shift out of first gear when it had an automatic transmission. Done a lot to it over the years. Every year I try to do something little to it. The soft top has tended to be pretty fun. You can see I forgot to button one of the buttons when it was warm out. Now this thing is beyond cold. That will not go down. So that's where it's going to stay, unless I want to throw a heat gun on it. So let's talk about the lift. It's a 4-inch full suspension lift by Rough Country. Yeah, I could have spent a lot more and went with a much more expensive lift. Maybe more desirable, but for what I use it for, it's perfect. The ride is actually pretty great. I have nothing bad to say about it. I know people have mixed opinions about Rough Country, but yeah, no blocks. Pretty straightforward to put it in. If you don't have a lift to do it, definitely put aside some time. Prepare to get all new hardware for when you do it, especially if you're going to lift one of these with all brand new hardware. Extended brake lines. I think the old ones would have fit. It wasn't worth the chance in trying to risk and stretching them. I did go with the optional steering stabilizer. You know, these trucks, they tend to walk as it is, so anything extra helps. That took a lot of time and a lot of help from a couple of great friends. Know who you are. But yeah, we did it right here on the driveway on our backs. One thing I wanted to mention was that I replaced the steering arm with the Rough Country elevated steering arm. And for those of you who haven't done one of these, you're really going to need to beat the crap out of that old steering arm to get it off with a weighted hammer, whatever you can use. And you're going to see these coned washers. They'll start to pop up. Best thing you can do that worked for me was to use vice grips and kind of like work them off after that. Just it's going to be hard. It's going to be a lot of work. At least it was for me. But just stick with it. They'll come out. Inside was the next biggest project that this truck overcame here. We took a 4-speed the SM465 manual trans out of an 86 K20, and I swapped it into this. Pretty extensive job, but it is nothing that you can't do. They actually come with the dimple in the area for, you can cut out a hole for the shifter. It lines up exactly where it's supposed to go. The pedal swap was ridiculous, I'll be honest. Trying to find pedals for a square body, you never would think it would be so hard. I actually sourced these from a junkyard in Maine. I'm sick to tell you how much I paid for them. I paid almost $400 for a clutch and a brake pedal. Yeah, I would have had no problem just cutting the automatic brake pedal in half, but finding a clutch pedal that just went in, I mean, obviously I could have made one as well. I just kind of wanted something more bolt-in. The reason I went with the newer style out of the 86 is because I wanted the hydraulic clutch. Get away from the linkage. Not saying that the linkage is anything bad with it. Just figured if I'm going to be driving this thing a little bit more. So now I have a master cylinder for the clutch, a reservoir. This is the original motor. It's a 350. It's got Hooker long tubes on it. I put a Edelbrock intake manifold, Edelbrock carburetor. Had to do a lot to it over the years. Done fuel pump. Gotten rid of every piece of smog equipment on it. Because that just, let's face it, does nothing but hurt this thing. It needs all the extra power they can get, especially now that we're turning 35s. The transfer case that I ended up using is an NP208. I have the original 205 that went with the truck, but with the SM465, it would not mate to that transmission. I have to rebuild basically change all the splines on the inside. It's going to be a project for the future. I'm definitely keeping that transfer case, maybe build a doubler out of it, 205, 203 combo. When I did the transmission and the transfer case, I actually had to have the drive shaft shortened. New your joints. And another thing to note with these lifts is that the factory e-brake cable did not reach, so currently I'm running no e-brake cable. We're addressing that. It'll come in the future. Truck's by no means perfect. I mean, it's definitely rusty and crusty in some spots. It's been in New York its entire life. So I have a couple patches in the floors. Eventually we'll address everything. Typical Chevy rot, but currently no front drive shaft. I have it out. I'm doing U-joints in it right now. It's making a lot of noise. I actually used the stock cross member and just moved up a hole, made a new hole, and was able to use that cross member for the SM465. Another thing we did to it is upgraded everything with the LEDs in here. I couldn't see anything at night. Cover's broken now, but I'll get a new one for that. Show you the headlights. Did these HIDs when I did them so long ago. What a big difference driving at night though. Eventually I'll change those to LEDs when they break, but for now, not broke, don't fix it, right? LEDs in the back. LED license plate light. It also has the stock front seats. I do have the stock rear seat, but I actually, with the help of my dad, we put in a third row seat out of a Yukon Denali. Did a lot of research and I found out they do fit. So yeah, there's the seat in the back. It fits perfectly in between the wheel wells. If you want to have any sort of safety consciousness for your family, like as far as towing your kids around with car seats, you definitely need 3-point seat belts. Has the anchor point right there for the car seats. And what we did, we're able to still flip it up and down using the factory mounts in the floor. We took the hardware off of the original seat and welded it right to this old seat, taking off all the original mounting points of the Denali seat. And you could use a Tahoe seat, you could use an Escalade seat, anything from the third row will fit in between these wheel wells. For the front, still utilized the front mounting point for the seat. What we did was we just took a bolt, bolted it on. Now we made a new mounting point for the front seat. It's extremely safe. Doesn't move at all. It's amazing. Saved themselves a lot of money. Some of the kits that they provide to do this, it would have been a lot easier just to buy the kit and drop it in, but it's definitely proved to work just as well. For those of you wondering, I do have the matching front Denali seats. They're power heated captain's armrests. You can see them there in the picture. I'll be making a video when I do put them in of how the whole process will go. If you really want to make the most out of your K5 Blazer or Jimmy, definitely recommend one of these soft tops. I was lucky enough to find mine used. Just bought all new hardware for it. Eventually it's going to be time to replace it. What's great about this company is that you can still just buy the canvas top. The frame's still fine. So I'm sure a lot of you know that once you take off that hardtop, it is a bear to get it back on. I took it off once and that was enough for me. So I actually leave this on year round. Make sure I keep the snow off of it. I have no leaks. I have nothing bad to say about the soft top. But let's fire it up so you guys see what it sounds like. Little belt squeak, cold. Actually took out the old radio. I still have it. It's an 8-track, but I need something to for the music. Also, I cut in some door speakers in the door. If you're gonna spend any length of time in this thing, you need to modernize it a little bit and bring it up to speed a little bit. That wasn't too bad. They sell the trim pieces that go around for this. You just cut a little bit bigger of a hole. Of course, we have a CB radio. You need that. So like I said, this is the SM465. You have the granny low, the creeper gear. 1, 2, 3, reverse. It's a tough transmission, I'll be honest. When you're driving around, it's kind of like driving a dump truck around. I mean, it's hard pushing the clutch in. You're shifting a lot. This truck's severely underpowered with a 350 in it, but you know it has enough gears where it kind of crawls around it as it should. Eventually, we'll probably LS swap it. Maybe in the future, possibly a Cummins or a Duramax swap in it. It's kind of cold here today in New York. So the best part about owning one of these trucks is that, you know, it's just a work in progress. Have fun with it. It doesn't have to be perfect, doesn't have to be a show truck to drive it. This truck has rust, but it's safe. Did all new brake lines in it. I just continue to make it better. Every couple months I do something new to it. My son loves this the most out of any of the vehicles. no ticks. Oh, another cool thing about this truck, it still has the factory markings on the firewall. It really was a cherry. I mean, besides a little bit of rust, don't worry about that. A nice little chop to it. So anyway, guys, I hope that, you know, seeing something like this will encourage you to get out there and start wrenching on something yourself. I bought this truck for $2,000 7 years ago. It's worth a lot more than that now. But you know that we can get our money right back out of this if we need to. So anyways, thanks for watching. Hit like and subscribe. For some reason it helps with that funky algorithm. I really appreciate it. And stay tuned for the next one.